How you guys doing out there? Welcome to the SBJ show. This your boy Shamar. Unfortunately, Nardo and AJ wasn't able to be with me today. But what I'm going to be discussing is it's a rumor going around that Randy Orton is in talks with AEW, which is a new promotion ran by Cody Rhodes. It's called All Elite Wrestling, and it's relatively new. It's not really on TV yet, but what I what I'm coming to know about this company is that it's a pretty, it's on the rise right now. They're looking for to bring in new talent. They're looking to get guys in so that they could, build their roster and build their credibility. But what I want to discuss is I'm gonna post a question to you guys out there in the audience. I want you to let me know in the comments below how you feel about this. Do you think Randy Orton will fit well in AEW? That's a question that I'm going to leave to the audience, to you guys out there who's listening to the show. Now, today, so I'm gonna answer this question in my terms. I'm gonna just say what I think about this situation. Do I think Orton will fit well in AEW, or do I think he shouldn't go over here as a whole? Now, look, this show would take forever if I ran through the accomplishments of Randy Orton in WWE. He's been 13-time world champion, United States champion, Intercontinental champion, tag team champion, one of the greatest of all time, and two of the greatest factions ever in Evolution and Legacy. So I mean, Orton has done it all in the big major company, but AEW, like I said, is on the rise. They looking for new talent, and they looking to expand their brand. And Cody Rhodes, former WWE superstar, looking to really, quote unquote, get some payback against the company for the way they treated him when he was a part of the company. But here I'm going to dive into the situation. So, in an article that I have pulled up here, it's telling me, it says that All Elite Wrestling already has an impressive roster of stars, and Randy Orton is open about his willingness to talk to AEW. So let me just speak on that. So yes, like I said, on the rise, they got a impressive amount of talent. We heard Kenny Omega has just signed a full-time contract with the company. I'll get into that in a future episode, but that's a incredible attribute to AEW. And the Viper has been open about it to discuss and say and maybe get close to getting in with the company. We don't know that yet. It's just a rumor. But what I think about the situation is I don't know if because Orton is a veteran. He's at a point in his career right now where it's really he doesn't have to do anything else. If he were to go to AEW, and I don't know if you guys would agree with me on this, but if he were to go to AEW, he would have to prove himself. Even though we know what he's done in WWE, proving himself in the last 16 years plus, we know what he's done over here. But in AEW, a new company, a fresh start, he would have to prove himself over there because a lot of people, a lot of fans over there don't know exactly what Orton has done. And he has millions of fans all across the world. So, I mean, I think Orton going to AEW, I just don't see this being right. Like, I think he should just, he's been in WWE for almost his entire career. Just run it out. And then once he done, retire, and the company that really made Orton, and you don't have to. He's one of those superstars that don't have to go to another company. It's like he's not being treated like, let's say, a Finn Balor who's been Universal Champion, and then he hasn't really got the chance to be champion since. Recently, he got an opportunity, but he was destroyed. But he's not like one of those guys who's being destroyed as far as character or like a push. Orton has been that guy for the last 13, 14 plus years, like I said. So him going to AEW, I don't think would be a smart move for him. Maybe he may feel differently. Obviously, it's his choice. But I just find it pretty interesting that, Orton is willing to even have discussions with this company about possibly joining AEW in the near future. Maybe that's when he leaves WWE, he want to go to AEW. He want to continue to compete. Maybe he want to be like a Ric Flair. He retire in WWE and then he go to another company and then continue to compete. So maybe that's how Orton is thinking, but I don't know. But I do have some information here. It said that the fact that the Viper is willing to hear AEW out caused a lot of jump to conclusions. So yes, obviously, when you hear someone is in talks with another company or it's just even discussing and negotiating with someone, people and fans are gonna automatically start to think that, hey, he's going over here, he's going over there. But we don't know that for sure. That's just a rumor going around. We don't exactly know if Orton is actually thinking about going to this company. It's just a rumor. It's just talks. So I have a stat here pulled up that says Randy Orton, he signed a 10-year contract in the WWE back in 2010. So he signed a 10-year contract back in 2010. This is 2019, which means that he has a little bit over a year left in the company. So his contract is basically coming to a close, and it's almost time to renegotiate that contract if he chooses to re-sign or if he chooses to leave the company. Because a lot of contracts is coming up. Dean Ambrose is one, and I'm gonna talk about him in this episode as well. But I do want to talk about this. Randy Orton signed basically a 10-year contract with the company. It's coming to a close another year. We don't know what he's gonna do as far as going to leave WWE or he's gonna re-sign and stay. But it is, his contract is almost up, so we're just gonna have to wait and see what Orton decides to do after his contract is up. So, but yes, that's really what I wanted to discuss about the fact that Orton, he's thinking about, doing certain things with his career. But I have a quote here from Jimmy Van, the founder of Fightful, and he states here, let me just say this. When it comes to Randy Orton, I think it's all about leveraging. Randy Orton's not going anywhere. Even though I realize that Khans have a lot of money and they gave Jericho, we estimate, $3 million a year and all that kind of stuff. Randy Orton already makes a really healthy downside on a part-time basis. And he's also, you could talk about how he's a lifter, which is true. His dad was a WWE wrestler. Randy Orton's essentially grew up in a WWF locker room. He's known Vince McMahon since he's a little kid. I just don't see it happening. So basically, sources around is saying that Orton is comfortable in where he's at right now. He has no intentions on leaving the company at all. He grew up around WWE as a kid. His father, Cowboy Bob Orton, main evented multiple manias, the first WrestleMania, actually. So, Randy Orton is bred to be in this business. And I think, me personally, I think, I don't want to make this too much opinion based, but me personally, my opinion, I don't want to see Randy Orton go. But if he decides to do that, I mean, hey, I'm behind him. I'm a big fan of Orton. But I agree with Jim. I just don't think that he's gonna leave. He's been around for so long that he has really no intentions on leaving. So hey, we're just gonna have to see where this goes. But the next thing that I want to discuss on this episode of the SBJ show, and once again, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, subscribing to the channel, liking everything that y'all doing for us. Just keep helping us to grow, and I thank y'all. But the next thing I want to discuss is the Dean Ambrose situation. Now, we know that Dean Ambrose, his heel turn, he turned heel. He turned heel back in like the night that Roman Reigns had announced his leukemia. Dean Ambrose turned heel. And he turned heel really sickly. A lot of fans say, why? Why, Dean Ambrose? Why would you turn heel at this point? I honestly think it was great. It was unexpected. Rollins and Ambrose won the tag team titles. Boom, Dean Ambrose did what he did. And a lot of fans think it was, justified. I wouldn't go that far and say it was justified, but I understand it. Dean Ambrose just came back from a 9-month injury, an injury that could have taken his life away. He came back from it. He survived it, he came back, got right back in the fold where he left off at within the Shield. Roman became Universal Champion. Seth was the Intercontinental Champion, and Dean had nothing. So you kind of saw this thing playing out as well. Dean Ambrose was maybe going to be like, well, I don't have a championship. I don't have anything. I'm rolling around with these two guys, and I don't have nothing. So maybe I want to be champion. Maybe I want to branch out on my own. The night Roman Reigns came out, told the world that he couldn't fulfill his duties as Universal Champion due to leukemia. He's battling leukemia. He's been battling it for 11 years. Prayers go out to Roman Reigns. I wish him a speedy recovery. The big dog will be back. But it was a really emotional night. And you saw Seth Rollins crying on the stage. Dean was even crying. It was real, like love, like brothers. It was love. And we was like, okay, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, they got a tag team title opportunity. They won the titles. They won them. And then Dean Ambrose assaulted Seth Rollins, turned his back on his former Shield brethren. And it was a vicious beating. It was brutal. Like that was a sick version of Dean. That's Dean Ambrose. That's actually who Dean Ambrose is. He's a sick individual. And if I've been watching Dean Ambrose as Jon Moxley from back in CZW days when it was ruthless with him. I'm talking about chainsaws. I'm talking about bloody, everything. Dean Ambrose has been through wars in his lifetime. Growing up in the tough streets of Cincinnati, Ohio, being homeless, all that. He's been through a lot. And I understand that Dean Ambrose, when he assaulted, Seth Rollins turned on his partner. That's the real Dean Ambrose. That is exactly who Dean Ambrose is. And the heel turn was exciting for a lot of his fans. Like, man, actually we gonna finally get the chance to see Dean Ambrose as a bad guy and get to see what he does, because this plays perfectly with his lunatic character. He's the lunatic fringe, so this plays perfect with his character. And then the following week we saw him taking shots up the butt. Trying to make the show as PG as possible, guys, but he was taking shots, saying how he didn't want to get sick or contaminated by the fans, and how he didn't want to, the fans disgusted him. Then he came out with a group of men wearing gas masks, and he had one on himself. So now I'm starting to think, like, what is really going on with Dean Ambrose? I thought this was serious. Like, I thought this was a heel turn for him to, to do some damage. But they started to use this as a joke. This was a joke to them. Dean Ambrose, like, remember this past Monday night, his promo on A Moment of Bliss. That's the Dean Ambrose they should have used, is this heel turn. He came out. He cut one of the best promos in recent memory. He slapped the microphone out of EC3 hand. And he went. That was probably one of my favorite promos from Dean Ambrose, because that's who he is. It seemed like he was enjoying himself out there, that he was in his comfort zone. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. That's why I feel personally that Dean Ambrose should have creative control over his character, because he can do it. If he had creative control over his character, he would be so great. He would be so good that it wouldn't even be up to the office in the back. Dean Ambrose would put himself in positions to be world champion due to his character being one of the best in the whole company. Now I'm going to get into the question, what do I think about Dean Ambrose reportedly leaving after his contract expires in April after Mania 35? Me personally, I don't want to see Dean Ambrose leave. A lot of people don't want to see Dean Ambrose leave. He's great. Grand Slam champion, 3-time Intercontinental champion, former world champion, Money in the Bank winner, tag team champion. He's done it all. If one of the greatest factions of probably recent history, the Shield, alongside Reigns and Rollins. Like I said, Dean Ambrose he's incredible. He's the full package. If you think about it, you just got to know how to use and put them together. And he could be great. He could be the greatest heel of all time. You think about great heels in history. You think about Edge. You think about Randy Orton's, great Eddie Guerrero type heels who's just sickly, but it was incredible. Dean Ambrose, this could be in that category. I once compared Dean Ambrose to Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of the greatest of all time. Perfect match. They act the same, crazy nuts. They go against authorities, and it's perfect. It's just, Dean Ambrose is in that stage right now where he's going through some things mentally. He's thinking about his health, his wife, Renee Young. It's a lot of things going on with Dean Ambrose, but if he does decide to leave, like I said, I don't want to see him go. He's a great competitor. He's very valuable. WWE would be losing a great competitor and a great attribute to the company as a whole. But I was watching a podcast and Booker T, shout out to Booker T, one of my favorites of all time, was stating that the show will still continue. No one man will ever stop one of the biggest companies in the world, WWE. But it would be a big loss for the company because Dean Ambrose is so much valuable, and him leave it would be bad. Just like when CM Punk left. I didn't want to see that. I'm like, man, CM Punk is on his way out. One of my favorites. Longest reigning WWE champion in history of the last 6 years. But when CM Punk left, it really just showed, the show has still been continuing, even though he's left. And CM Punk has publicly stated that he has no intentions on returning. But to get back on topic here, I was just comparing, CM Punk left. Dean Ambrose is intending on leaving, and now they're just going to treat him like some sort of joke up until he leaves the company. They're going to, make him lose or have him put over young guys, which is what they did with EC3 this past Monday. Nia Jax is getting involved in his business. I'm just going to say this right now. I'm hoping that they don't do Dean Ambrose versus Nia Jax in any way possible. I don't want to see an intergender matchup between those two. It's dumb to me. The decisions and the ideas that the office in the back comes up with behind the scenes with WWE. They just throwing together things that shouldn't even be happening. But, like I said, Dean Ambrose is a former world champion, or one of the best, with his accomplishments. I would say he's already built a Hall of Fame career. I mean, he's been in the company 6.5 years, obviously. But his accomplishments speak for themselves. Dean Ambrose would be an accredited Hall of Famer if they decided to do that because of his accomplishments. Got a lot of respect for Dean Ambrose. He's been doing it for a long time, even before he came over to WWE and NXT, and he's been doing it. Got a lot of respect for Ambrose. I support whatever decision that he makes, whether he wants to leave, whether he go to AEW, or whether it's a work and he actually stays in the company. And like I say, my other guy on the show, AJ, like he says on one of our recent episodes, maybe they just gonna tear it because of the heel turn was so bad. Maybe they gonna have him to just put over some guys for a minute, tear him down a little bit, and then rebuild him back as a babyface again. Because that's really where Dean Ambrose excelled. So we're just gonna have to wait to see what happens, guys. But hey, this was a great episode. A little short, 20-minute episode to just discuss some of these rumors that's going around. And like we say, it's three of us on the show, but today this was a solo. Hey, we doing things different for y'all out there. We not just trying to do NBA or the Raw and SD Live review shows, but we trying to mix it up, do some rumor kills. We got some other exciting things coming for you guys out there. So just keep supporting us, keep liking, keep subscribing to the YouTube channel. I'm your boy Shamar from the SBJ Show. Shout out to my boy Nardo and AJ, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.